yourself and know that that's good enough.
Hi, honey. Welcome back to another video. I have my blanket here. I don't even know where my bracelets are. This whole weekend has been insane. First, I met my birth mom. Look at my hair. She did my hair for me. I mean, like, look how clean that is. She did so good, y'all. Like, I love it. So, we're gonna start pretty much almost in a sense at the beginning. And what I mean at the beginning, I'll start with I guess more so my story from my adoptive parent side, and then I'll go into what actually happened, and then I'll go into the now. So I was born February 23rd, 1998 at like 8:56 a.m. in Fitzgerald, Georgia, based off my birth certificate. Now, I grew up in a two-parent, married Christian household. I grew up as their own child. I grew up the only child, and the story that I've been told from their perspective is that my mom, my adoptive mom, she struggled to have children. I was told that she had 2 miscarriages before having me. So there were 2 boys before me and then me. So it would have been 2 boys and a girl. She said the first one would have been named Benjamin Jr., which is my adoptive dad's name. His name's Benjamin, so the oldest would have been a junior. The middle son, his name would have been Cedric, and then it would have been me, Tiffany. And I always grew up with that story. I have never seen pictures of her actually being pregnant, and I think there was maybe one photo, but it wasn't something like this, something kind of, big, droopy. They were standing next to this white vehicle. If you weren't really looking, you couldn't really tell necessarily that she was pregnant, and to this day, I'm not even 100% sure if she was or wasn't, but I grew up like that, the only child, Christian, 2-parent, married household. And I think from the age of about 4 or 5, I always knew I was a little different, but I couldn't really put my finger on it, and I knew fairly young. My adoptive mom was not, always the most welcoming and always the most sweetest, mother in the world. And there have been some, I won't go into any details, but there have been, some cases of, there have been some cases of, a little bit of physical, mental, emotional abuse throughout the years. I won't go into any details. Maybe one day I will. I don't know. I will make a podcast backing after I post this video. Probably going into a slight bit more detail. I'm not sure exactly how much information I'm gonna actually disclose, but yeah. I grew up, with my adoptive dad's side of the family. I've always been closer to their side versus my adoptive mom's side. And, they've always kind of been nitpicky about that. Like, why do you favor one side of the family over the other? And, growing up, I've never really felt truly heard or seen or really anything. To me, I never really fully blended in with the family, especially my adoptive mom's side. Her family was a lot closer to where we lived, like quite literally like maybe even a 20-minute drive, compared to my adoptive dad's side, who I was a lot closer to. they lived in North Carolina. So, you know, they're like a few hours, several hours away. And it's funny because they were the closest to me, you know, emotionally and all that stuff. So I grew up not embracing emotions. Like, if you look at pictures of me when I was younger, I'm always cheesing, I'm always smiling. And as I get older, you kind of see it fade in a sense. It kind of turns into like, okay, smile, the camera's on. You know, that's what it felt like. And I just always knew that something wasn't quite right. I didn't fully act like them. I didn't look like them. I'm the lightest one in the family, with the exception of one of my adoptive dad's brothers. He's fairly light, but there's a reason behind that though. I was never able to fully voice my opinion. It was more so, we feel this way about this situation, so you have to feel this way about this situation too. And if you don't, well, we don't want to hear really what you have to say. I was always spoken for me. There was never really, my son sleeps. If you see me look down quite often, I'm watching the monitor. It was their way or the highway, and that included intellect, emotional, like everything, the whole 9 yards. If you knew me growing up, you kind of knew bits and pieces of our household in terms of stuff going on. I actually ran away several times while I was under the age of 18. I ran away to a friend's house, and they actually took me, and I told them, you know, my mom hit me, and they took me on a little trip. I guess trying to figure out what they really wanted to do. But that day they were going to, I think, South Carolina. So they took me, you know, over the border to south of the border. And I guess my mother threatened to call, you know, the police and all that and charge them for kidnapping or whatever. And so they brought me back. The police brought me back home and all this other stuff. And I was never really believed that stuff was going on in the house because of, you know, the status, and they were really good pillars of the community. They're very active in the church and things like that. So, you know, hearing that something's not quite right in the household, given the status and given what they do in their community and things like that, it's often not believed. So most of my life, I have been victim shamed within the family and a little bit outside of the family. But when I did talk to people outside of the family, my mother, you know, knew about it or found out about it, and it would be a bunch of backlash, a lot of backlash about that. And it would be more so of, well, you know, she's mentally disabled and she's not able to fully process or fully think for herself. She's thinking of lies and all this other stuff because of this and this and this. And just imagine you expressing a major concern to somebody, and that person says, oh, they just have a mental disability. Like, imagine you trying to express yourself about something really important, and the first thing that comes out of somebody's mouth, oh, she's crazy. Oh, you have a mental disability, so that's why you think the way you do and you act the way you act. And in all reality, now that I have grown a lot more into myself and into my faith, and I have a stronger mindset to just rethink and reprocess negative thoughts. You know, I've been fed a lot of negativity most of my life through that household, and you would really never know that just looking on the outside in. And it has just been something. So it's really to look back and see all that I have personally been through. I'm not saying I'm perfect either. Of course, I have done my junk in the house too. And, you know, sometimes I did deserve a whooping. I deserved, I deserve getting, chastised. But other situations and other things that arose in the house did not warrant for certain things that did go on. So growing up, I always knew I was different. I knew there was something. Skin color, eye color, just kind of just how I carry myself, things like that. And I used to question, but there was never any solid proof. I think when I was in middle school, there was this rumor going around that I was adopted. And, from my basic knowledge of stuff like that is to look at your birth certificate and, your social security number. So, of course, my birth certificate had, my adoptive name, Tiffany Jones. And, of course, it had, their names on it. And, I didn't really know how to navigate through that. So, that's it. I mean, all I knew was that, well, my birth certificate says everything, and that's it. My social security card, says everything, and that's it. And they all said Tiffany Jones, so, and I didn't have solid proof. So I just really tried not to think really too much of it. What caused me to really re-question was several things. So about 2 years ago, me and my husband had this little situation, so I had to go home for a little while. And during that time, they were saying that, I should move on with my life and maybe it'll be best for our situation that we separate and things like that. And I took it upon myself to finally listen to my own voice. And I decided to leave that environment with my son. And my mother-in-law actually came to get me after I called her and was like, please come get me. I'm sorry for anything that has conspired between me, you, and your son, and all this other stuff, but I need you to come get me, please. And she had asked, I think it was almost 3 years ago at this point, but she was like, do you want me to come while they're there? Because I'll just bring the police with me. And I'm the one that said, no, I do not want you to come while they're home, because it's not going to be that simple as me just packing up my stuff and leaving. I know there's going to be an altercation, and I don't want all that. I want this to be just a really calm, peaceful transition as much as we can right now, and then I'll deal with everything else as the time comes. So she came and got me. At that time, my son, my oldest, was 2 months old, and he is now 2.5 years old. So she came and got me, and then, me and my husband working things out and things like that. And during this whole span of then and even, it's calmed down now, but pretty much then and current day has been a lot of negative emails, a lot of negative wording back and forth, a lot of crazy conversations, a lot of spazzing, yelling, spitting, vile, practically. I even have actually email from my adoptive mom that was like, you're dead to me. And it said, of course, some more, but that's literally in all caps. I could literally attach it if I need to, but maybe one day, I'll go through from beginning to end that whole crazy situation and why it led to our relationship being as strenuous as it is, including maybe text message, pictures, whatever. We'll see though, between me and them and why things are the way that they are and whatever. But we'll see. Maybe. I'm not 100% sure about that yet, but we'll see. And when her family found out about that email, because, I sent it to somebody in the family, and it kind of spiraled, and she kind of backtracked and was like, I just wanted to see your emotions. I wanted to see how you would react to that. And I see your reaction now and how you react to something like that and all this other stuff. And it's kind of like, that's not how you get a reaction out of your child. That's saying you are dead to me. That's your way of getting a reaction out of me. I would never say something like that to my kids. Point blank, period. I would never a parent in their right mind would never say something like that to their child. And I've been hearing, stuff not like that, but I've been hearing stuff, for a while. So, and my mother-in-law and father-in-law is like witnessing all of this, and they were truly like surprised because my parents are, really high in the faith and social status. They're pastors and first ladies, and they could not understand how you could just say some of these negative things and talk to your daughter, the way that they do, and still pretty much go to church and preach and clap your hands like everything's fine on Sundays and Wednesdays. And they were just so surprised because when I was first trying to tell them about how my relationship with my parents are, as usual, as anybody, you hesitate and you're kind of like, there's no way, not these people right here. But once you get close enough to me and you actually experience and hear what's being said, how it's being said, how I'm being treated, it perfectly makes sense. So now my in-laws are like, yeah, like, this is crazy. We believe you. And I think after that, pretty much, my mother-in-law started working with me pretty much kind of mentally because I was so just torn apart. You hear negativity all the time, and then you're not able to really express yourself. Things get stuffed down, and they get stuffed down really deep. And I have really low self-esteem, really low outlook, it's sad. And to see that growth now, it's just like, wow, your mother-in-law really helped you out with a lot. And I have grown a lot. And I'm just extremely thankful for that period of my life. And so after these past couple of years and all that toxicity and things like that, so what really, made me question fully about my adoption was I was already, like I said, skeptical. And then after my in-laws were seeing how I was treated and things like that, my mother-in-law was like, there's no way somebody would treat their child like this. She was like, girl, you adopted. It started out as a joke. But then as things progressed, more negativity and things like that was being spit out, and it was a whole bunch of heaviness and craziness going on. And your adopted started coming up a little bit more. Like, it really started out as like a passive aggressive joke, haha, hee hee. And I had an old youth pastor, I think this was in December. I had an old youth pastor that said, I remember hearing from somebody that's really close to the family say, I remember when they adopted that baby, they never really expressed to a whole bunch of people that they adopted her. But yeah, she's adopted, and they pass her off as their own child. That's the best that they can. And this particular youth pastor held on to that for a long time. And I think this was around the time when I was like 12, 13, when I was hearing the rumors that I was adopted, but I had no actual proof to present that. And I didn't really think to fully ask them. And I wasn't really sure what type of response I would actually get if I would actually be told the truth, So I was like, wow, that's a major thing. And this person that she was referring to that was really close to the family, had no reason to lie about something like that. And I know he was like really close with the family, so he knew stuff that a lot of other people did not know. So I was kind of like, maybe there's possibly some real truth to this. So I kind of started asking a little bit, like family, like cousins, the ones that I'm close to personally, my grandma. I started asking my dad's side of the family. I was not about to go and ask my mom's side of the family. It was not going to happen. at this time, my relationship with my parents is very strenuous. It's not the healthiest, but I'm close with, like I said, my dad's side of the family. So I went asking, and I asked, I think my cousins kind of first, and was like, "Am I adopted?" So I started off first playing a game with them in a sense, and I was like, "I'm adopted. Why didn't y'all say anything?" And their response pretty much told me, like, "Yeah, you're adopted." And at that point, it wasn't confirmed that I was. And they were just like, "Oh, how you found out?" How I found out? Wait a minute. So I'm like FaceTiming them and stuff, and they're asking me, well, how would our relationship be impacted if you were adopted? And I was like, our relationship's not gonna change. Like, y'all are practically my best friends. So, and I was like, okay, that's good to know, good to know. But they would never tell me a full yes or no if I was adopted. So eventually I asked my grandma, and I was like, "Grandma, am I adopted?" And she laughed, and she was kind of like, "I mean, who told you that? Who told you that?" And I'm thinking in my head, are you serious? So I call my dad's brother, and this is the one that's gonna tell it all. Like, he's gonna tell you to your face what it is, how it is, everything. And he's just gonna tell you straight up and be honest with you. And he did. And he said, "Baby, yes, you are adopted." And I told them that if you ever come ask me before they tell you, I'm just gonna tell you. And he said, I was hoping that they would tell you before now, and they haven't. And I don't know what the big deal about that is, because you deserve to know, where you come from. You deserve to know the truth. And it took me by complete surprise. Even though I was curious, of course, before now, it was just hearing, "Yes, you are adopted." And it made my whole perspective of my life up to that point kind of change, because it's like, wow, you guys willingly accepted me as your own. And given I was extremely premature, I was very sickly. And so there were a lot of health and mental challenges that I had to get over growing up. I could not breathe on my own too. So there was this white band called a trach that used to stick out of my neck, and that's what helped me breathe. And that's practically what kept me alive as long as it did. I think I got this trach out when I was about 2 or 3 years old, and they wanted to make sure, I could swallow, I could eat, I could do all this other stuff before they took it out. It took a lot of specialized care to make sure, that I basically stay alive. You had to physically clean the trach. So you had to literally take this little device out of my neck, clean it, and then put it back in. And you only had a certain amount of time to do that before I would, of course, completely stop breathing. And it's so crazy to think, it's just this little tiny little sickly little person. And here I am now. But I was like, wow, you guys were willing to accept all these challenges and raise me as your own, but yet you didn't think it was important to maybe just tell me that I was adopted, to tell me where I came from, things like that. Did you not think that was important? Like, you treated me as if it was a privilege to just be alive, and that whatever I did, I deserved it in terms of maybe a harsher punishment. It was almost a privilege to be alive, to just be in their presence. And it was kind of like, man, I didn't ask for you to adopt me. And I'm grateful, that they did. I'm grateful that they did take me as their own and raise me with good morals, such as, focus on school. You say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. You be respectful to your elders. You talk proper. You just, your intellect, this is how you present yourself to people, things like that. The simple, morals and values that you instill in somebody. And, I'm grateful for that. But that still does not give you a right to treat somebody like they're garbage on the side of the road. Like, yes, you can throw money and you can just say, here you go. And I'm aware that I've had a more privileged life than most people and most children my age. And I know that. I am highly aware of that. And the thing is, in a sense, I didn't ask for that, but I am extremely grateful for the life that I did have in terms of, like money. I never really had to beg or truly work, like literally have a job. I was told school and church was my main focuses and they would take care of the rest, and they pretty much did. However, I did like in womanhood values. My mother-in-law just taught me how to sew a few months ago. I have a phone call, sorry. Yeah, I was just taught how to sew. I'm 24 years old a few months ago. I don't really know how to cook that much. Thank goodness my husband is a chef, basically. He took culinary arts. I wanted to take culinary arts, but that's gonna be a whole nother story. But anyway, I ended up not taking it clearly. And the only reason I know how to cook the little bit that I do is because of my dad. He taught me how to cook breakfast. I can throw down on breakfast so I can start you off. But after that, I don't know. I can kind of cook some dinner if it pertains to anything seafood. Like I can cook really good salmon. I can do some pretty decent, like potatoes, side. I'm good. I can season some green beans. Anything kind of seafood wise, like pasta, shrimp, stuff like that, I can do. But when you talk about like full course meals, like you're going into the steaks and the really good chickens and heavy stuff, that's more of my husband's specialty. But we have a really good balance with how we do things. So yeah, but it's kind of like all of that I have physically been through, being told I'm the mentally unstable one, I'm the crazy one. All of this wildness, victim shaming, victim blaming, pointing the finger at me as if I am always the one wrong in the family. And especially within the last 2 years of all that vile negativity and stuff being spit at me, and I'm supposed to just absorb it and take it. And that's what I've been doing all this time, is absorbing it and taking it almost like a sponge. Just whatever you throw at me, that's just how it be. That's just how it is. And getting hit with the yes, you're adopted, and it's like I was adopted and you guys still treated me the way that y'all did, and you guys have no drive to really want to apologize, to really want to connect with me on a different level other than, oh, it's just our way and here it is. If you feel this way, well, oh well, because that's just how you feel. And we did not present this stuff to you like how you're taking it. But if that's how you feel, then that's just how you feel, so whatever. And even when I present, how I feel, I get addressed like that or in a negative way. And it's more so, man, I'm trying to communicate with you guys. I have 2 boys, you guys are grandparents, and there has been no real true initiation of like, all right, we're gonna talk and we're gonna work this out in a healthy manner. It has always been somehow the conversations are going south and things like that. So for me, it has been like, wow, knowing that I was adopted and knowing all the challenges that I faced, that they faced, raising me and whatever, it's kind of like, wow, you guys literally treated me like a secondhand privilege. It's almost as if I looked good for you guys, like, oh, we have this daughter and she's doing so well and things like that. But then if I'm not doing good, then what do you say? Oh, girl, what's wrong with you? You're mentally disabled, you're crazy, and it's a lot. And literally just to find out I'm adopted and to be treated the way I was, it's absolutely crazy. So it's absolutely crazy. I even initiated a possible sit down with them, but it didn't work, clearly. So right now, we're not really speaking too much. Me and my parents, we're not really saying much. It is what it is. But my mother-in-law actually helped me with this process of finding out who my real parents are. We did an Ancestry in December, and I think I did it in January, and I got my results back in like the beginning of March. So maybe it took about 7 weeks to get my results back. And it matched me with a great aunt and a great uncle. And then I found somebody else that seemed to be in close relationships with everybody that was on my ancestry tree. So that was nice. So I reached out to them, and they helped me figure out, who my parents were, specifically my dad. I'm related to, that great aunt and great uncle through my birth father. So I found my birth father first, and he said, he keeps in contact with my birth mother, and he asked, if it was okay for him to let me know that, that I'm here. And I told him, yes, of course. And she reached out to me, and of course I was bombarded with family, with whole family, and she is just the sweetest, and she's spicy, and and from what I've heard, I look like her, that we have like the same features, like the same smile, kind of the same nose, kind of the same eyes structure going on. But if you see my dad, I look just like him. I am the female version of him. Even if he tried to deny me looks alone, he could not. So I actually met my mom yesterday, my birth mom. No, 2 days ago. Saturday or Friday? Saturday. And she stayed the night and left on Sunday after church. And it was just so nice, to get to know her, to meet her. And so my actual birth story is more so from my mom's side, there's 4 of us. I am the youngest girl. There's 3 girls and a boy. I have 2 older sisters, then there's me, and then there's my younger brother, who is currently still in school. And that is I went from being the only child to now knowing that I have siblings. And that's just my mom's side, my birth mom. Now my birth dad, Rolling Stone all the way. There's 10 of us. And I'm not joking. 10 of us, including me. So yeah. But for my mom's side, I've talked to my oldest sister. We talk just about every day. Same with my birth mom. We talk just about every day, and it is so nice. But what happened was, of course, with me being very sickly, it came with a lot of challenges. And my mom didn't really have a whole bunch of help, but she was trying. Her and my birth father were trying. I was in the hospital for almost 2 years directly. There was a situation that happened with my oldest sister. So DFAC was and CPS was already looking, a little sideways at my mom. And they were thinking of putting me up for adoption anyway. So that was going on in the background of while I was still sick, while they were making trips back and forth to the hospital. And they couldn't really say what was wrong with me. And even to this day, they have no idea exactly why I was so sick. So during this whole crazy process, they're telling my mom, well, she can't breathe. We don't know if you can take proper care of her. We're not sure if you're ready for this and all this other stuff. You don't really have help and things like that. So we're going to put her through the agency. We're going to put her up for adoption. And she was like, okay, well, what do I need to do, to get her back, to do things the right way? So they told her, these list of things that she needed to do to get her life together. And she was doing it. The only thing she had struggled with was getting a job. But she basically did everything within the deadlines. But how they got her was they had said, okay, we're gonna get her trach removed. We need you to come bring her. So she did, and they was like, okay, well, we need you to step out the room, while we do this procedure. So when she stepped out of the room, she never saw me again. They took me from there on, and quite literally that trach stayed in for a little while longer, actually. And they handed me off to my adoptive parents, and I've been with them since I was about 2 to 3 years old. And of course there's more to that, but that's just a generalization of my adoption story. They did my mom so dirty. And it's so funny because my adoptive parents heard that my mother and father was on drugs, and that's one reason why I was so sick. And my birth mom was so confused because she was like, I don't know where they got that from, because she was like, I have never been on drugs a day in my life. My birth father said he has never been on drugs and has verified that she has never been on drugs. Like, she barely drinks. She's a social drinker, and they didn't understand what was going on. Like, why was it so hard to get me back? Why did they say that my mom wasn't taking proper care of me? Because they said she was doing it. She was trying her best, but they told her, like, you're not trying your best. You're not trying hard enough. You got all these things, but we don't think that's enough. And they was giving her the runaround, and they told her, well, you're on drugs and all this other stuff, so we're gonna give her up. They almost used you're on drugs as leverage to help get me out of the house, to get me out of the house faster and things like that. And the doctor that helped orchestrate this, who is no longer alive, has a reputation for doing stuff shady and under the table. So a lot of the things that was done probably during this adoption may have honestly not been fully legal or fully by the books. Because why would you tell somebody, oh, her parents were on drugs, and that was never true? And she has proof of, drug tests and things, and when they tried to test her, and it was all negative. So, why, as an actual adoption agency, would you say, oh, her parents were on drugs, if they weren't? It was just you could tell there was a lot of underhanded things. Why would you tell my mom to step out of the room? We're about to do this procedure, so we need the room clear, just for her to come back and I'm gone. Imagine quite literally having your child taken from you. And then since then, she has been looking for me literally ever since. So my birth name is Iniqua, which I actually love the name. I, with a little apostrophe, Nekequa, Iniqua. And the name that, of course, I grew up with was Tiffany. So yeah, big difference. She has literally been looking for me ever since. A lady told her, whoa, because I was in the custody of somebody else for a little while, and then my mom wanted me to be adopted by that particular lady, but that particular lady was also sick, and she said, I can't do it because I'm not going to be able to live long enough to really raise her. And my birth mom was like, okay, she was like, well, I can tell you this, she's headed to Savannah, and this is the name that she has been given. So she knew my name was Tiffany Jones, and she knew the general area of Savannah, Georgia. And she has quite literally been looking for me ever since. And how do I know? One reason I know is because, she told me. But also, checking her Facebook page and stuff, and you see her share pictures of me every single year, and she's always saying something about me. And she has literally been on the lookout for years, just hoping that I turn up. And she literally went to Savannah and stayed there for about a year looking for me. And then she even moved to Hinesville looking for me. And at one point, she was literally around the corner from where I stayed, and I never known. And I've always wondered now, what would have happened if she literally found me and say we were out and about, or she just showed up at the house, it was like, hi, I'm Tiffany's birth mom. How would that interaction, how would have that went? How would that be? Because, I was never told, and I could tell there was no plans of me being told. So if this lady just shows up and it's like, hey, I'm your birth mom. Okay, you guys got some explaining to do, and you have some explaining to do, because why didn't you guys tell me before now? And I feel that way. Why have you guys not told me? Well, did you not think it was that important? Were you guys worried that your image was going to be kind of messed up? Did you guys worry that all the stuff that was going on, I was going to go tell them, because I probably would have, but that I was just going to go tell them, and then it was probably going to be some issues? Did you think that I was going to, leave you guys for my birth parents? I'm thinking it was that. It was more so a little bit of rejection and a little bit of fine, well, I know my birth parents, so I'm going to go live and stay with them. A lot of things that I went through, I probably would have not endured. I most definitely probably would have went to them about it. When I got 18, I probably would have went and stayed with them. Like, you never know how life would have been or what would have transpired. But I do know Ben and Esther were in my life for a season and for a reason, and they were the ones that raised me, this whole time. And now I know, who my birth family is and who my birth mom is and my birth father. And I got a chance to meet my birth mom and her boyfriend, and they are so cute. And I wish them nothing but the best. And it has been a great, beautiful weekend. And now, this weekend coming up, we're actually going to go meet the rest of the family. I met my mom and her boyfriend, but now I'm going to meet the family, as in like my dad and his little girlfriend, my mom, of course. I already met them. My mom's side of the family, my dad's side of the family. It's gonna be a long weekend. It's full of fun and love, and because apparently like the whole family has been looking for me. I've just been that one that they have been looking for so long, and then now here I am. Literally thanks to Ancestry. And by the way, for my Ancestry results, I actually stated it on my podcast, and even though I'm recording on my phone, so I can't give you guys the breakdown, maybe I'll put it in the description, but I'm straight island, quite literally. Like, it says, like, I know it says Congo, Nigeria, best Bantu Western peoples. It said like I'm a little bit of Ireland, I'm a little bit of Norway. It's pretty crazy. And I have a little bit of black because of my mom. But for the most part, I am full island, and I know that's from my dad. And she's even stated, she was like, nah, we don't have any of that over this way. So I know it's like 1,000% my dad. And I'm just really excited, for this incredible journey, and to see how my life has changed just within the past few years. It has been crazy. Literally, to go from this broken, beaten down woman to now this empowered, I know who I am and where I come from. I know what God has done for me, and I have seen it in my life personally. And of course, in my marriage and in my journey being a mom. And it is just so heartwarming and crazy just to see how far God has brought me in my emotional state, in my mental state, even through this journey of literally forgiveness for my adoptive parents for not telling me, for some of the things that they won't admit happened. It's okay. I don't need them to admit that I was in pain in order to declare my healing. I know what God has brought me from, and I'm aware of all the things that He put me through to help somebody else. And this is basically my adoption story. You know, from a house of, in a sense, from a house of abuse, and to walk outside and just to smile and act like everything's okay, just for the whole family to point their fingers at me during certain incidents and things that happened, to feel just like I'm losing my mind and to feel like I'm worthless, to join the military, to get raped while in the military, to get married 6 months later to somebody that, in a sense, honestly was a complete stranger. And I fell in love with him. And we started a journey together, not without crazy speculations and emotional stress. And our marriage has been literally far from perfect, but I think that's what makes our marriage work. Marriage is not about completing each other, it's about complementing each other. We complement each other so well. And to go through all of that, including the stuff in our marriage, and then we have 2 babies back to back. And for my in-laws to help me through this, to help me through motherhood, to teach me about marriage life, teach me about things I was not taught growing up, even as just a woman that's just knowing to sew. One of my cousins knew how to sew by like 8. I'm 24 and I just found out how to sew. And I know it's not about age necessarily when you learn, it's about having the opportunity to learn about it in general and just apply it to your life. So to go from this brokenhearted, emotionally just wore out, beat down individual to grow in my faith throughout my military career, my marriage, throughout being a mother, children, you know, just everything, to slowly just blossom and transform into like this butterfly. And of course, you know, not everything is perfect in my life, not even close, but I do believe that God has this divine intervention and plan and reason for everything. You know, there's a reason that he allowed me to come to the knowledge that I was adopted late in life. There's a reason that I now get a chance to be connected with my birth family. You know, there's a reason my husband and my children are on this journey with me. There's a reason my in-laws have been right beside me throughout this process. And I am grateful for the growth, to be able to speak up for myself, to be able to have a voice for myself, to know what that sounds like, feels like, looks like, to be able to say that I am loved by my mom, that I am loved by my dad. Literally, the second conversation I had with my dad, he said, I love you. I think about the second or third, my mom said she loved me. And it took me aback because it's like I didn't have to work for that love. Just them knowing that I was their child was enough for them to tell me that they love me. And you could feel that they meant it. And I've always felt like I've had to work for love, that there's something I had to be doing right in order to be loved. I had to check these boxes and scribble these things in order to be loved, and that is not the case. My husband loves me. My birth mother loves me. My birth father loves me. Literally just me being their child, just them knowing that I exist is enough for them to love me for who I am, flaws and all. And I think that's the most beautiful takeaway, really, in all of this. And God's working with me on forgiveness and to not be spiteful, but, you know, probably to be more open-minded and think of things in all perspectives. And this whole journey of being a late discovery adoptee, that's what it's called. Because I found out way late in life that I was adopted, and how I found out was not the most conventional way, but it's okay because I'm blessed in just knowing that, and I'm grateful. And being able to experience a love like this and a life like this, and to finally meet, you know, where I come from, and just get myself and my family, you know, kind of just, you know, familiarized with my side of the family, and, you know, things like that. And this has been a really great journey, and I'm just so thankful for all the people in my life that have helped me water seeds of healing and love and grace. And it has been a bomb journey, and it's really just beginning. And thank you guys for this, sticking around for this long video. And a podcast will probably soon follow, maybe in little or more detail, we'll see. But oh yeah, by the way, so my Instagram was hacked this week, or technically last week, and it was the craziest thing ever. Like, when I finally was able to get back into my Instagram account, now like five people's names just have access. So they changed like my username, my bio. Well, when I mean bio, like the website of my bio. And what the crazy thing is that I can't change it. Like, whatever's in my bio, I literally can't make changes. Like, if I try to erase something, like even just a letter, and save it, it always says, there was a problem saving your profile, try again. And I retry and nothing changes. Like, I literally had to change the link in my bio to make it usable. And now I think I have to change my YouTube intro, Instagram thing, because it literally says Tea with Tiffany KK. There's 3 Ks now instead of just 1. And I hate it because I can't change it. Instagram won't let me change it. I wish they had like a hotline or something to call, because it's hard to describe. And the little message prompt things that they give you, oh, what's the matter? You know, that, oh, I can't change my username. Or they're gonna give you something generic like, well, you know, if you change your name, you know, within 14 days or something like that, you could always change it back. But that's not fully the problem. Like, I can't even change the stuff in my bio. You know, I literally had to, thank goodness for the website link thing that I'm using, is that I could change my website to the one that they changed it to. Like, I think it was like With Love Tiffany K or something like that. I don't even remember what's the website that's in there. But they added an extra K in there too. So I had to go back in my little website thing and add an extra K, so it's at least clickable, so it'll show up now. But yeah, so now it's literally T with Tiffany KK. Yeah, it's stupid, but I can't change it right now. So my Instagram handle on my intro I probably will be adding extra Ks. And yeah, I think maybe in the beginning of this video or at the end, I'm not sure which one I want to do yet, I will add, I'm not sure if I'll do some pictures, but I may do the video my husband did record, the moment that me and my birth mother met. And it's just, it's impactful for me and for her. This weekend has been beautiful, and I can't wait to see him again next weekend and to meet the whole family. It's going to be a full weekend for sure. And of course, podcasts and maybe a couple YouTube videos, not sure, may come from it, but we shall see. Thank you guys for staying this long. I see it's a very long video. Thank you guys for staying this long and just hearing, you know, a little about my life, about my adoption story. Shout out to AncestryDNA for literally just helping make that connection for us, because we had no idea where to start. And we were just like, well, Ancestry, we hear about it. I actually have a sister-in-law that had to use Ancestry. She said, you know, that's what she used. So we went for it, and here you go. Literally within 2 months, you know, I found my birth family, was able to meet them, and I got answers faster than trying to ask my adoptive family for that, because they were not willing to really give up that information willingly, even though I deserve to know where I come from, you know, who my parents are, and exactly how they adopted me, because it seems like some stuff was underhanded that they may or may not know about. I don't know, but thank you for coming and listening to my adoption story, you know, a little bit of my birth story, all that. Well, check out my socials, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye. Ooh. Oh God, I'm trying not to. Oh my God. Oh. I miss you so much.